Good news, everyone. BuzzFeed isn't doing very well. And I thought it'd be good to delight in some Schadenfreude about their seemingly subsequent demise. So,
Sorry, you took me off guard with the Professor Farnsworth.
It is going to be a fun one, by the way.
I hope so.
But I feel like you don't have enough burning hatred in your heart for BuzzFeed, so I'm going to...
BuzzFeed are an organisation I've not thought of or remembered existed for at least 6 years.
Mm-hmm. They were sort of paradigm defining for, I don't know,
for a lot of people. They were the ones where you'd be at college or university and they would send emails and messages through going like, take this quiz says that I'm a Gemini, this quiz says I'm a Hufflepuff. They're that sort of organisation.
Mm-hmm. So, here's a very silly article. So, this is a good example of some of the drivel that they were putting out around sort of 2015. 20 slightly incorrect names for food. And John, if you could scroll down, for example, milk snakes instead of milkshakes, cheesequake instead of cheesecake. This is something that a genuine real person worked on, a journalist. I think this is meant to be mozzarella sticks, but they've got Cinderella steaks.
This is just stupid, unfunny names for bits of food, and then
just buffalo things.
I mean, that's when the inventiveness has just disappeared. They've run out of inspiration.
That's meant to be eggs Benedict, eggs bean and dip, but I don't know.
Someone got paid for this.
Who this is meant to be describing? Because the only kind of people
the
that
amount
describe
of work I put into everything I do here, and someone got paid for this.
Yes, but like hamburger, humbungalow, which is actually quite an amusing name for it, to be honest. But only young children and people with special needs.
Scroll up. That's a salad.
That's nachos, isn't it? It's meant
to
be.
Yeah, nachos, not bones. It doesn't even sound like nachos.
They're just
bones.
Mocking young children and people with special needs here, aren't they? They're the only people that are going to say anything remotely.
Am I going to put a picture of a carrot up and go, not steak? is that the level of journalism we've got going here?
Yeah, that's salad. It says salmon. Cheese plate. Choice plate. It's unbelievably poor. So...
I seemingly remember BuzzFeed being at the centre of a lot of culture war controversies
we'll be
around
touching on
this
that,
period.
But this is just the lowbrow drivel.
And this was the golden age when H3 was still producing semi-watchable content, critiquing BuzzFeed's stupid videos about manspreading and such. And this is the other stuff that BuzzFeed was producing at the time.
Yes.
We were wasting our goddamn time.
So, this is some sort of poetic irony here. Top 10 worst BuzzFeed articles.
Surprised
and
this
of course,
isn't
number
on
one,
BuzzFeed.
they have the 20 slightly incorrect names of food, of course. But then, you might be cleaning your penis wrong. Did you know, Harry?
More.
Sound the effing alarms. Zac Efron fell while running on the beach. That's what we need to know. What type of grilled cheese are you?
The top 10s. Justice bullying, for one, terrible English.
Oh, that's someone commenting on the thing.
I know, but don't make me want to read the article.
Okay. Which baby song are you? Should anyone talk to you? No.
If you write for BuzzFeed, no, they shouldn't.
20 reasons why white people can't be trusted. There's something a bit more insidious, right? It's not just lowbrow nonsense.
17 foods that white people have ruined, and then
6 reasons you stop referring to women as females right now.
That's proper I find female logic right there.
I find Americans have the habit, I'm sorry Americans, not all of you do it, where they say right now when it's very obvious that they mean currently. It's just like, I'm really annoyed with you right now. I mean, what does that mean? That's an obsolete addition to the sentence.
Why men should shut the hell up about women wearing too much makeup. Well, if you'd stop wearing too much makeup, we'd shut up about it.
What about this one? Make a sandwich and we'll guess what Shrek character you are in bed.
That's just a take on the gone sexual.
If you can find the poop in under a minute, then you're a certified genius.
There's so much wrong.
Rather than then you are a certified genius.
I was going to say that it's even the wrong you're. 15 reasons we don't actually need feminism.
I'm willing to hear them out.
That's kind of based.
Does SpongeBob SquarePants have a penis? An investigation? I mean, this cutting-edge journalism, it's really breaking my heart that this quality of investigation is...
We need to talk about Voldemort's... No, we don't! No, did J.K. Rowling write that?
Apparently so. There's also, if you scroll back up again, John, quickly, why white people shouldn't be allowed to name kids. So dotted in with this lowbrow nonsense is some incredibly racist stuff.
Well, yeah, some very anti-white stuff.
Yes.
Why white people? Oh wait, why white people should be able to say the N-word? You've got my attention.
I'm willing to hear them out. But yes,
Why is more SpongeBob sex stuff? What's going on?
They're just weirdo degenerates. And there's also stuff like 14 times spaghetti lived by its own damn rules. It's people trying to be quaint or what some people call
35 questions
twee.
black people have for white people.
Yes, and this is just a small section of the cancerous nature of BuzzFeed. And even Vice have had the gall to try and call them out for terrible lists.
And this is all the way back in 2013.
I know, yes. And I feel like they're in a glass house throwing stones right now, because let's not forget that Vice News has an entire section on their website. Like, you know how you have things like politics, things like that, in the subheadings. If you go to the next link, John, they have an entire section dedicated to drugs, and they have an article tag on Vice dedicated to all of the stories that relate to butt plugs. So this is not a highbrow.
Is this a section
outlet
of the market that we need to corner? Is there profit in this?
No, I don't think so.
Best anal sex toys for butt beginners.
Right.
This is
Let's move on from
degeneracy.
Move on from this horrific nonsense, because, of course, yes, Vice, no position to criticise. And I think it's a good moment to bring up that I did a video quite some time ago, why the corporate media are terrible. And I talked about all the techniques that they use to try and manipulate people for political ends, as well as just be blatantly poor quality journalists, even when they're trying.
And that's all well and good to have an hour and 20-minute video on it, but I think the previous 5 minutes has given more than enough reason for everyone watching at home to not trust the corporate media, but please watch it anyway.
So I'm just going to read some of these headlines. I'm not going to go into the articles or the videos or whatever, and just give you an idea of the political element that is really cancerous about BuzzFeed. So if black people said the stuff white people say, and then there's another one, the next one, if Latinos said the stuff white people say, and then the next one, if Asians said the stuff white people say, and then 33 questions white people have for white people. There's some sort of a mission here.
There's some
there?
real cuckoldry going on in that last one.
And then another one, 33 things that almost all white people are guilty of doing. 37
Building civilizations,
things white people need to stop ruining in 2018. 21 things that almost all white people are guilty of saying. So yes, obviously the word
Can you please
guilt,
not steal that, please?
the word guilt co-occurs with white people so often that it's clear that they're just trying to communicate the idea that if you're white, you should feel guilty about something you had no control over.
I'm doing a quick physiognomy check on that Michelle Rennox who wrote this article, and checks out.
Like the moon face.
Quite.
Not only are they weird racists, they're also annoying feminists as well. So 27 times the internet made me lose faith in men, not humanity, just men. I mean, you can hear the feminine spite in the title.
I can hear the egg carton emptying itself.
Stefan Molyneux's just entered the chat here. So next one, 26 screenshots of broken sexist men projecting their insecurities onto innocent women.
Okay, this is these both articles are by the same woman.
I know.
I feel the insecurity is coming from one specific direction.
Yeah. It's funny that, isn't it? And then 33 subtly sexist things women deal with that often go unnoticed.
Let's see who wrote that one. Oh, different woman.
Yes. And then another one, 15 sexist things that prove how horrible society treats women. Horribly, I can't even read their rubbish anymore, apparently.
This is, reading these headlines is actively making you go blind and dyslexic. And I don't blame you. This is your brain defending itself.
I've got like a brain immune system.
Scroll down. I genuinely want to see some of the examples they list on this one. So how do we know that society treats women so terribly? This is a TikTok link. Keep scrolling. This is just someone. Number one, someone. Oh, this is just promoting some random TikTok woman.
Yeah, it shares things that other people have made. They're not even coming up with their own list of gripes.
That's a whole different level of lazy. Brought up double standard for female sterilization procedures. What? mention the tradition of fathers walking their daughters down the aisle and handing them off to their new husbands. So this is just, we don't like traditions. We don't like things of patriarchal society.
Apparently so.
Could have expected
and then the final one that I'm going to talk to you with, 29 sexist men, women who are attracted to women have had to deal with. So it's basically talking about lesbians, but in the most esoteric way, because they're trying to be politically correct and posted a word salad instead.
I don't know, women who are attracted to women, that's not very inclusive.
No, it's not.
What about all of the men who dress as women who are attracted to women?
Very bigoted.
Not very impressed, BuzzFeed.
So, on to the actual news. Now I'm done torturing you all.
All right.
So, in December, BuzzFeed slashed 12% of its workforce, citing worsening macroeconomic conditions. So, it says in the article itself, in a note to impacted employees, John Peretti, the company's founder and chief executive, blamed the cuts on a combination of worsening macroeconomic conditions and changes in how people consume media. Basically, he's saying, we don't have money and people aren't reading our stuff in a very veiled way. The move to cut operation costs also comes as the company's stocks hover at an all-time low of about $1.10 per share, down nearly 90% over the past year. And then, in January, to rub salt in the wound, BuzzFeed to use ChatGPT for content creation after 12% employee layoff. So they were replaced by robots. The funny thing is that after they announced this, their stock value went up 200%.
Well, the people writing articles before were such NPCs, you could literally get an AI to replace them, and you get better quality.
Apparently so, yeah. The market apparently loved this. So this was actually their kind of their peak before the inevitable demise, I think, because it's not looking so good. So Comcast had a large stake in BuzzFeed because it's a very big company, and they took advantage of this peak in the fact that they'd announced to use AI to sell a large portion of their BuzzFeed shares. So they cut its stake in BuzzFeed by 8.5%, but they still have a stake of about 15.5% from 24%. So normally you'd think, well, if the price has gone up and there are companies selling them, exchanging hands, well, that must be a good thing, right? Because they're making money off of it. It's a profitable thing to invest in because they made money. But of course, they could well be selling off a decent chunk of it, because if you sell all at once, then that could have a negative impact on the stock price, which undermines your ability to sell the rest of it. Because of course you need buyers in the market to absorb the sale in the first place. And if you sell it all at once, it signals a lack of confidence. So they might be trying to sell it off in dribs and drabs, and they might end up getting more money rather than selling off everything all at once. But we'll see if that works out, because recently, here we've got an article from the Post-Millennial titled BuzzFeed sees 106.4 million net loss in quarter four. That's quarter four of last year, I presume.
Imagine so.
Company had majority of funds at Silicon Valley Bank, which,
We've got a few segments on. Well, Dan did a very good segment on earlier on this week, which is not going very well for Silicon Valley Bank.
So I'm going to read this short extract from the Post-Millennial, which of course always does great work. Company saw a loss of $201.3 million, including a non-cash goodwill impairment charge of $102.3 million, compared to the net income of $25.9 million in 2021. The Hollywood Reporter writes that during the latest quarter, BuzzFeed posted a non-cash goodwill impairment charge. I don't know why it's repeating itself, in part due to a steep decline in the value of the company's stock price in December. In all, BuzzFeed's brought in $134.6 million in overall revenue during the fourth quarter, but it's still not enough to make a profit, apparently. The digital media company ended the quarter with $106 million in net losses, compared to a year earlier profit of $41.5 million. So it seems to me that they are hemorrhaging cash. They've gone from turning a profit to making quite a significant loss.
This is the death throes of BuzzFeed, and honestly, I'm glad to be here for it.
So, of course, not helping them at all is the fact that they had their money in Silicon Valley Bank, and this dropped the stock price even more for them, which is going to discourage even more investment, which they so need. Even though, of course, Janet Yellen, being the money printer in the White House, is more than happy to guarantee all of the money in this bank. So they are going to get their money out of the bank, I believe, as far as I understand how it works.
I believe that from what Dan was saying in the segment, that if you... he was saying if it was like above 250,000, you're insured up to 250,000.
I think they've since guaranteed the money in the bank, as far as I understand it.
That would make sense, just a bailout, really.
But still, the fact that they had their money in there certainly didn't help them at all, because it's awkward for them getting the funds out, as well as the fact that it has a significant impact on the market, which they want to be favourable with, because they need to court investment to dig themselves out of this massive hole. So other things have also influenced their downfalls. So we have this article from 2021 as well, where they acquired the Huffington Post and laid off loads of Huffington Post staffers, and they acknowledge in this article that the company isn't even turning a profit, and they've got to restructure it and to make it profitable. So they're acquiring businesses that are failing when they themselves are a failing business.
Is it Huffington Post? No, it was Washington Post, isn't it? Which is the one that's owned by Jeff Bezos?
That's Washington Post.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I got them mixed up for a moment then.
So yes, they've acquired this, which in itself is another failing media company, failing for similar reasons, I imagine, in that they
both
produce
similar content.
Yes. So I don't think having this in your portfolio is going to help you, because you're just doubling down on the problems that you are suffering from yourself. Is a poor investment, in my opinion.
This is not good maths. I know that generally if you times two negatives together, you get a positive in mathematics. That's not what works. If you're two failing companies, put them together, that doesn't equal profit.
And just to revel in communists getting frustrated, here we have the Jacobin at the time saying mass layoffs at the Huffington Post signal doom for journalism. I don't think so. Actually, I think it's probably good for journalism, in that it was really the worst of the worst. So one thing that perhaps has worked in their favour is this next one, that Meta pays BuzzFeed millions to generate creator content for Facebook and Instagram, but Meta itself has had a bumpy ride.
They're not doing great after the whole metaverse thing. I think that their stock price has been going down. I don't know what it is currently.
I think in 2023 it started going back up again after quite a low point.
There was
at the
some
end of
uncertainty last year, though.
Yeah, well, their entire launch, the whole metaverse thing, it's not exactly the most stable.
Let's be fair, it did make Mark Zuckerberg look more human than ever.
But I think they only got 10 million from this. So this isn't going to plug the massive hole in their budget, is it?
No.
So just to close the segment out, I asked ChatGPT, in the spirit of
in between
BuzzFeed,
writing new BuzzFeed articles.
Yes, I asked it to write a limerick about the downfall of BuzzFeed. I did change some little bits to make it fit, but it's mostly ChatGPT's own work. And it goes as follows. There once was a site called BuzzFeed, whose finances were not guaranteed. Their losses were vast, their business won't last. Turns out clickbait is not what we need.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Contemplations series, this episode on how corporations squeeze money out of people. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.